that tonight's meeting will be broadcast live and can be watched after the meeting at the YouTube page. Tonight's invocation will be given by Richard Lemons, our Grants and Contracts Officer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Sophia Vidal, a fifth grade student at Wrightson Ridge Elementary School. Richard.
Good evening. As we gather tonight for the Town Council meeting, let us please reflect on our shared commitment to the town of Sahuarita. We are grateful for the beauty of our desert landscape, the strength of our community, and the opportunity to serve our fellow residents. May our mayor and council approach the items on tonight's agenda with open minds, heavy focus on the common good, and the spirit of collaboration. Let their decisions be guided by wisdom, integrity, and dedication of a bright future for all who call this town home.
Thank you. He's lowering that for you, Sophia.
Is that too high? All right, come on over. She can rest the mic.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll?
Councilmember Gillespie.
Here.
Councilmember Lisk.
Here.
Councilmember Lytle.
Here.
Councilmember Morales.
Here.
Councilmember Priolo. Absent. Vice Mayor Egbert. Here. Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Okay, thank you. Tonight we have two presentations. First, I'll present a proclamation declaring May 2026 as Building Safety Month to Andrew Parkin, Interim Building Safety Manager. Following that, I'll present a second proclamation recognizing National Public Works Week to Nalo Nalavali, our Public Works Director, and Daniel Logan, Public Works Deputy Director. So at this time, would Andrew, Daniel, and Nalo join me at the podium? I'll let you say a few words afterwards, and I can introduce everybody. Oh, yes. Okay. Whereas the town of Sahuarita is committed to recognizing our growth and strength depend on the safety and essential roles of homes, buildings, and infrastructure play both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of building safety and the prevention officials, plan reviewers, permit technicians, building inspectors, design professionals, tradespeople, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these individuals are dedicated members of the International Code Council, IOC, a nonprofit that brings together officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes and standards to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern buildings, codes, and standards include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role our community's largely unknown protectors of public safety, our code officials, who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas Built to Last, the theme of Building Safety Month 2026, encourages us all to get involved and raise awareness about building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas such each year, the observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential services provided to all of our employees by local, state, tribal, territorial, and federal building safety and fire prevention departments, and protecting lives and property. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Tom Murphy, the mayor of the town of Sahuarita, on behalf of the town council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as Building Safety Month, and testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Sahuarita on this 11th day of May 2026. Congratulations, all. Thank you. Thanks. Do you want to grab a picture first? Yes. Come on. Don't hide. One, two, three. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to thank you for recognizing Building Safety Month. I'd like to introduce three members of my team. We have Deanna Hamburger as a Senior Permit Tech, Plans Examiner, Pauline Montan, that's a Permit Tech, and Andrew Sacido, that's a Permit Tech / Building Inspector. And Andrew would like to say a few words.
Mayor, council, and staff, we'd like to, on behalf of Anna Cassidy, our director, Andrew Parkin, our building official, and all of our building safety department, we would like to thank you for taking the time to acknowledge May as our Building Safety Month. Our department prides ourselves providing a much faster, cheaper, and easier way to perform our permitting and inspection process each and every day. We do that by providing excellent customer service to our amazing community as we serve them daily, and at the same time making sure we do it in a fast but safe way, as safety is, of course, our priority. I would like to read this email I recently got from one of our superintendents in Quail Creek, Steve. To whom it may concern, we are very appreciative of the town, Sahuarita's inspectors always being very thorough and providing a very meticulous inspection, ensuring that safety of all of our builders and our homeowners, which are our customers, are safe. That was from Steve Barcelo, one of the superintendents in Quail Creek. This is the most recent comment received, and I think it is amazing that we tend to receive more positive than negative responses from our superintendents and customers. That alone is a true testament of our entire team. As we acknowledge this proclamation, we would like to say a big thank you to Mr. Mayor Tom Murphy, our wonderful council, assistant vice mayor, and of course our staff. And we'd also like to give a big shout out and thank you to Santa Rita Fire Department, our partners, for your continuous support and backing to help us move forward with our day-to-day project as well as our large-scale projects move so smoothly. It is always so nice to know we can rely on your support and any needs we may have. Thank you again and have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Nalo? Oh, Danny? Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, quality of life, and well-being of the people of the town of Sahuarita, Arizona. Whereas these vital services are delivered through the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals, including engineers, managers, and employees in both government and the private sector, who maintain and improve our transportation, water supply, water treatment and solid waste systems, public building systems, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And whereas public understanding of the importance of public works is crucial for the town of Sahuarita's well-being, and whereas the 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, and whereas we recognize the significant contributions of our public works professionals to protecting the health, safety, and quality of life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Tom Murphy, the mayor of the town of Sahuarita, on behalf of the town council, do hereby proclaim May 17th to the 23rd as National Public Works Week, and testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the town of Sahuarita on this 11th day of May 2026. Congratulations. Picture. Appreciate it. And that's just a little bit of our staff who work hard every day. We just have different particular months, but that's just an indication of how hard our staff works all the time. So we appreciate that. Next is call to the public. The call to the public is now open. Individuals may speak for 3 minutes. Spokespersons may speak for 10. Please note that the advocacy for candidates or ballot measures is prohibited by law. The council cannot discuss matters not on the agenda. However, at the end of the call to the public, council member may respond to criticism, request staff to review the issue, or add the topic to a future agenda. And I have a few tonight, and we'll begin with Mel Selway. And I think a lot of the folks have spoken before, but there's 3 lights on the podium. Green starts, the yellow means you have a minute left, and then when the red comes, you get parachute out of here through the hole in the ceiling.
Yes,
A
sir.
circle opens up, you're gone.
Mayor, council, and all the other associates here from Sahuarita, thanks for the opportunity. I'd like to start off by thanking you for reducing the heavy truck traffic in our community by selecting one trash and recycling supplier. 2 trucks, 1 day a week is very much appreciated. Thank you. Now for the other points. Each of the 3 western states of the total 7 states that source water from the Colorado River have agreed to reduce their intake of water from the river. Arizona has agreed to reduce the state's intake by 760,000 acre-feet per year. This equates to 247,746,760,000 gallons of water per year less that we will have available via the CAP and the Colorado River. Part of Hudbay Minerals' proposal to replenish 105% of the water drawn from our local aquifer is based on water sourced from the Central Arizona Project, CAP, which is supplied by the Colorado River. Therefore, any anticipated water sourced by Hudbay will be reduced substantially, possibly to zero. Hudbay has reservoirs in Marana for storage of water from the CAP. To move this water from Marana reservoirs to the proposed mine sites, Hudbay has promised to construct a pipeline, titled Project Renews, that will require right-of-way through our community. Unless Hudbay can provide written guarantees supported by monetary penalties to replenish 105% of the water drawn from our aquifer, Sahuarita must refuse to grant the right-of-way for the pipeline. Hudbay has been advertising in some local media, billboards, newspapers, and others, and I believe the wording of these advertisements is misleading, and it is important that residents and officials of our communities are aware of these intentional deceptions, which include, they advertise that a processing plant on site will produce finished copper, eliminating the need to ship copper concentrate overseas for refining. When, if ever, will this plant be built? I have been told by Jerry Bustamante, PR director of Copper World, who I met at our clubhouse, that this project would be 4 to 5 years in the future at the earliest. This means that trucks carrying copper concentrate need to take it somewhere using our roads and traveling past our schools and businesses. They advertise that copper plays a critical role in our military. I'm wondering whose military it is, because Mitsubishi is willing to invest $600 million for a guarantee of 30% of that copper produced by the mines. Recently, the Tucson City Council unanimously voted against the mine project in the Santa Rita Mountains. Our Sahuarita Town Council must also vote against the mine project, especially since our communities are closer to the proposed mine sites. We'll have less water to share, and we'll experience increased heavy truck traffic near our schools. We, your constituents, are not for this project.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mel. Bonita Linder, and then next will be Beverly Lake.
Good evening, Town Council, Mayor, friends, neighbors. We stand here today in the shadow of the Santa Rita Mountains, not just as residents of a beautiful desert, but as a community facing a choice. We are told that Copper World project is progress. We are told it is domestic necessity, but as the dust begins to rise over these ridges, we have to ask ourselves, at what cost does this copper come? The CDC and the National Institute for Safety and Health have made it clear exposure to diesel fumes for 5 years or more significantly increases the risk of lung cancer. Think about the scale of what Hudbay is proposing. Thousands of heavy trucks every year, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. These trucks will be idling and hauling right next to where our children go to school and where our residents breathe. But it's not just the fumes. When you blast and crush sulfide ore, you aren't just moving rock, you are unlocking a chemical cocktail that has been buried for millions of years. You are releasing arsenic, lead, mercury, and nickel into the very air we breathe. But sulfide mining releases heavy metals that act as neurotoxins. It creates airborne particles that don't just stay on the mine site, they travel on our winds, settle in our soil, and contribute to serious chronic illness. In closing, we the residents of Sarita and neighboring towns deserve a future where economic growth doesn't come at the expense of our biological health. We deserve a Santa Rita Range that remains a sanctuary, not an industrial sacrifice zone. It's time to put our health above our harvest. It's time to say that our air, our water, our land, and our lives are not for sale. Tomorrow morning, you should all be getting a stack of postcards that are written by people who aren't here with us tonight. And it is a very large stack with all the people who are opposed to this mine. So thank you.
Thanks for being here. Beverly Lake, and then Tracy Silta.
I will try not to take up too much of your time. Many of the things that are going to be said today and that have been said are concerns of mine also. There's so many questions I have, and I know that I am also concerned about if I get answers, whether or not those answers are the correct answers. I don't feel that we've had transparency in a lot of the dealings with Hudbay. All right, there are things like the number of actual jobs that will stay here. They have lots of big numbers. And, I think we really ought to consider reviewing the bidding process for sale of public lands, state lands. And please, 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 we need a public hearing now, ASAP, so everyone can say what they need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy, and then Peter Gallegos.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tracy Silta. I live in Sonora Rancho Sarita, and I love living there. I want to thank all of you for your service. I know how difficult it is to be on a board like this, and it is very much appreciated. I am here to oppose the Copper World mine. I'm here to speak for Sophia, the little girl who was so precious and came up and led our pledge tonight, and many other children and families just like hers. I'd like to know how Hudbay is going to replace our water by 105%. I'd like to know exactly how they're going to do that. We are responsible for maintaining our roads. These trucks are going to be on our roads. We are paying to maintain those roads. That doesn't settle very well with me. I've been told that mining has been here forever. They're going to do whatever they want to do. We're on our way out. We're old people. There's nothing we can do about it. Well, I'm not here for those people. I'm here for the Sophias. I'm not against mining, but I happen to be against this mine right now. Times have changed. We are low on water. Our world is changing. We need to change our attitudes as well. And I think we need to examine all of these kinds of decisions with a fine-tooth comb, because it is going to affect our children and our future. And I really appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter, and then Christine Gallegos. I'm assuming maybe related?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity. The decision regarding this proposed mine will forever change the face of this community. Some things, however, are still unknown, of course, but there are two certainties that we can be assured of right now. One is that the executives of Hudbay are living nowhere near a mine of any kind. And secondarily, had copper been discovered, frankly, in the Catalinas or in Scottsdale, no one would dare suggest tearing up the land for a mine. So there's a difference. There is a difference. But the industry considers communities like Sahuarita or Patagonia or other smaller communities, they're either too small to put up major resistance, or they're not going to put up the resources or have the political clout to confront entities like Hudbay. They count on this. They presume any job enticements will override everything else in these communities. They count on the assumption that we'll give up everything, literally everything, the health of our children, the very mountains that have been an inherent part of countless generations before us, the very life-giving water that sustains our community now and for any future we may have. All for what? 400 odd jobs that have been promised. Once depleted, whether 30 or 50 years, what we've lost can never be restored, ever. It's gone. The very existence of this mine will destroy whatever future you, ladies and gentlemen, envision for this community. Do we really think that families will continue to want to live and raise their children where the pollution and environmental destruction is right outside their front door every single day for the next number of decades? A few years ago, this community made an important decision to not allow an asphalt plant, but we are now on the cusp of something 1,000 times worse. Will we really destroy our mountains in future so profits can go back to Canada? The beneficiaries of all of this, whether Hudbay, Tesla, China, or Japan, could care less about the destruction of small communities or where copper comes from. Surely we can do better than this. Instead, work to bring in industries and jobs that respect our environment and the health of our community. Copper is available in many parts of the world, places where people desperately take whatever is offered by the mining companies, but not here. How much louder does this community and do we have to yell to make it clear that Hudbay is not and will never be wanted or never be welcomed here? Thank you very much.
Christine, and then John Doherty.
While Christine comes up, I just want to, first of all, say thank you for your politeness, and it's a credit to your generation that has wonderful opportunity, like manners, without attack. So thank you. It's been enjoyable hearing from all of you today.
Good evening, council members and those in attendance. I'm here because I'm strongly opposing Hudbay's Copper World's destruction of our Santa Rita Mountains. Studies cite that 100% of U.S. copper sulfide mines have experienced accidental releases or spills. Reports also show that in many cases, water pollution was significantly worse than forecasted and wastewater treatment failed to prevent environmental damage. The fact that they have agreed to reimburse the town of Sahuarita for any damages doesn't negate the potential long-term risk to adjacent community residents such as myself. We have all heard the statistics and how Copper World is posed to become a major mining complex in Arizona, covering approximately 45,000 acres on private land in its initial phase with potential for expansion. The Copper World project is set to employ conventional open pit mining methods of utilizing a truck and shovel fleet, which will be running continuously. The mining fleet will compose a range of equipment, including hydraulic shovels, front-end loaders, 250-ton haul trucks, blast hole drills, track dozers, wheel dozers, series motor graders. The trucks will carry a copper concentrate, chemicals, and explosives through the area. The primary access route identified for heavy truck traffic leading to the west slope of the Sahuarita will be roughly 7.7 mile stretch of unpaved Sahuarita Road. Estimates suggest a potential for 100 to 200 daily diesel truck trips operating 24/7. Why should we accept this in what is essentially our backyards? To those who say it's not that bad, keep in mind they haven't even started the actual mining yet, which is anticipated to start around 2029. When that happens, the mine is expected to generate significant and constant noise and light pollution, affecting all of those who live nearby, including Sahuarita and Quail Creek. What we are seeing now is a final feasibility study, so that this is nothing compared to what we will see and hear once the mining actually starts. There is absolutely no doubt mining is considered the most toxic industry in America. It doesn't just produce copper. It releases mercury, lead, and arsenic into the air and water. Once you turn our mountain range into a 1.5 mile wide toxic pit, you can't just fix it when the mine closes. Instead of breaking ground on new risky mines, we should prioritize urban mining, recycling the massive amount of copper already in e-waste and landfills. I am asking the council to do the right thing and stop this devastation from happening to our mountains and communities. We thank you as well as future generations.
Thank you. John Doherty, and then Diane Tipton.
Good evening, Mayor Murphy, members of the Town Council. My name is John Doherty. I'm Executive Director of Save the Scenic Santa Rita's, an environmental group opposed to HUD-based Copper World project. In 2013, the town issued a license to HUD Bay, granting it a right-of-way along the Santa Rita Road to install its primary water pipeline to operate the mine. The license requires HUD Bay to replenish 105% of the groundwater it pumps for the mine with Central Arizona Project water within a defined replenishment area that encompasses Greater Sahuarita. On April 16, the license also requires HUD Bay to submit annual reports on how much water it pumps from 2 well fields and how much CAP water is recharged. On April 16th, SSSR notified the town manager and each of you that HUD Bay failed to disclose to the town that it operated 5 production wells in 2025, withdrawing 10 million gallons of groundwater. Nor did HUD Bay submit reports showing how much groundwater was recharged with CAP water, because they can't. There's no way for them to do it. SSR notified the town that HUD Bay appears to be in violation of state groundwater reporting laws, and they still are. They haven't filed the required pump reports with the State Department of Water Resources in violation of a statute. SSSR requested the town to conduct an investigation and refused to issue any permits allowing HUD Bay to install the water pipeline. We've received no formal response from the town. However, on April 24th, Mayor Murphy issued a lengthy statement praising and endorsing HUD Bay and Copper World in a full-page advertisement in the Arizona Capital Times. Here it is. We got copies of it out front if you haven't seen it. And in part of the ad, Mayor Murphy says, throughout this process, the Copper World leadership has taken meaningful steps to listen to the community concerns, share information openly, and incorporate feedback where appropriate. We strongly disagree with that statement. In addition, this photograph is not just of Mayor Murphy, it's the Sahuarita Town Hall, right? It's the Town Hall. It's not Mayor Murphy. This implies the council's formally supporting Hud Bay and Copper World. I have found no record of Sahuarita passing a formal resolution supporting Copper World. We now know the mayor's position. It's very loud and clear. As for the rest of the council, did the mayor share this ad with you? Did you see this ad before it was published in the Arizona Capital Times? Did you approve it? Did you endorse it? And more importantly, do you support what it states here? We look forward to hearing your answers to these questions, because we think it's really very important. If the mayor says he wants to endorse it, he can do that. But to put the city hall on that photograph that's paid for by Hud Bay Minerals, we want to know. And I think your constituents would like to know if all the rest of you saw the ad and support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Diane Tipton, and then Alan Jennings.
Good evening, you guys. I was all prepared to have a nice printout for you guys and handouts and everything from all the research I've done with the power this city has in control of what the pipeline to the mine means, that you can shut this down. They broke their contract. They're taking water, they're not replacing the water. You can just shut it down, no problem. And the state allows you to do that. Also, the trucks. Hud Bay and Copper World, they do not own the trucks. These trucks are being hired from different companies that may or may not follow good rules. Their drivers may or may not be trained correctly. And if anything goes wrong with those trucks, Copper World and Hud Bay have no responsibility to it. If they want to dump a whole truckload, or not want, but if they end up dumping a whole truckload of hazardous liquids like sulfuric acid by the school, the cleanup, they don't have to do it. We have to do it. That's by our kids. And that you guys can also stop by having the police stop their trucks, make sure they're following their if their placarded vehicles are correctly placarded and contained, and if their drivers are actually able to drive the truck, if they have a legal license, or even if they're legal people. And the city can do that. And, I lived in a town, Denver, Colorado, where one of these companies put a young man, he was 23 years old, they gave him 2 weeks of training from Texas to drive through Colorado mountains. Well, they didn't teach him how to drive through the mountains. His equipment broke, his brakes broke, and he was out of control coming out of the mountains into Denver. I was 3 minutes behind the accident, and I-70 was already stopped by accident. He creamed into a whole bunch of cars. 15 cars burnt up because of his fire. 5 people died. We don't even know how many people were badly burned, that people were jumping out of the cars, pulling people out of the cars. Well, the company that owned that truck had no responsibility. The 23-year-old got to carry the whole blame, and that was unfortunate, and he has to live with that. And that can happen to this town on these narrow roads with,
Thank you, we got the point. Appreciate it. Alan Jennings?
Alan Jennings, Sarita resident. And to Vice Mayor Egbert's point, I'm not of that generation. I'm not interested in being polite. As you have shown time after time, being spineless, you may call it attacking, but just holding people accountable, you have chosen not to. And so this is one of those times that as you get up there with your full-page article talking about how good that we've got this community input, this is past the time for input. This is the time for action and for accountability. And while this is going on, not just with the Copper World mining, but we have the council explicitly zoning for data centers. So now we're talking about the water use for the mines, and you're going and putting us out there into that front as well. It's not that long ago that you voted explicitly to ban some medical processing facilities. So once again, you turn to the lawyer and ask him, tell us there's nothing that we can do, and he'll tell you there's nothing that you can do when you've taken actions before for stopping businesses from coming to our town. I'm looking forward to this summer. We have our primaries. Since you have chosen time after time again, Mayor and Vice Mayor, not to show any accountability, not to hold people to what their jobs are, this is our time as voters where we get to hold you and vote you out of office. Good luck with the judiciary, whatever that means for you.
Thanks. Mary Alice O'Connor? Good evening.
Hi, Mayor and members of the council. I moved here a year ago from Wisconsin, and this reminds me a little bit, I don't know if any of you heard of Foxconn. It was hailed by President Trump that it was going to be the 8th wonder of the world in southeast Wisconsin. It was a Taiwanese company that the state of Wisconsin taxpayers gave over $1 billion in exchange for what was going to be this huge economic development, high-paying jobs, 13,000 jobs, in fact. The issue wasn't water so much because we have Lake Michigan and a whole bunch of lakes, but it ended up being heavily subsidized. They ended up, through a lot of eminent domain, generations of farmers who had been there had to sell their land at a much greatly reduced price, and it ended up, they never really built anything. And this huge project was deemed a huge failure. So it's one thing to talk about all the jobs that the mining is going to bring, but you've heard from a number of speakers tonight that you do need to take a look at the whole enchilada here and the economic impact to the area. And there's health concerns, people have been talking about the trucks, but I think the biggest thing is water. Without water, we will all be dead in 100 years when there's no water left in the aquifer. And so you as stewards of this wonderful community really have a responsibility here, I hope, to make sure that there's transparency moving forward. And if they can't meet the agreement, have the public hearing and make it transparent so that there's an informed decision that you're making, instead of a whole lot of angry people out here who feel like there's things that haven't really been disclosed. So I'm pretty new to the area, and it's beautiful. And it always bothers me when out-of-state and out-of-country companies want to come in, make their money, and leave. And that's exactly what was going to happen with Foxconn. After the promise of 13,000 high-paying jobs, there were under 1,000, and then they left. So I would just urge caution and ask for that public hearing. Thanks.
Thank you. Jerry Bustamante?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Jerry Bustamante. I am with Hudbay, representing Copper World. And I have listened intently to the comments made here tonight. And just know, I really appreciate people being here and expressing their comments. I really do. We've been on a listening tour since we first rolled out this project. And that listening tour is going to continue. We sincerely do appreciate people's comments. We do appreciate hearing from them. And we respect those opinions. We feel that, at the same time, though, I do feel that it is vital for the record and for the clarity of this council to respond to some of the comments that have been presented today. And I'm not here to debate any of them, by the way, certainly not to do that. But there's been a number of things that have been shared here tonight with respect to us, comments such as we can do whatever we want, that all profits go to Canada, our footprint being 45,000 acres, and it's a tenth of that, and comments such as the town having the authority to shut down the project. Some of these comments are speculative and quite simply just inaccurate. So please know, Copper World, we're not developing this project in a vacuum, and we're not going to operate this project in a vacuum either. We are bound by rigorous state and federal standards, and our plans are backed by science-based studies, engineering protocols, and best practices to ensure the health and safety of our community. Now, we remain fully committed to continue to listen to all of our stakeholders and to understand their concerns, their interests. And we have always had a constructive relationship with the town of Sahuarita, which we greatly value, by the way, and that will continue. So I just want to leave the council with one assurance. Our door will always be open, and we are always available to you and town staff to ensure that you have accurate and timely information. Again, I want to thank once again the members of the audience that have come here, and we're hearing you, we hear you, and we appreciate that. So thank you for the time and the opportunity to address these comments. Thank you.
That'll be all. I have no more. It's not a debate. Thank you. We'll close the call to the public and move on to council, town manager, brief summary of events. Councilmember Lytle.
Nothing here.
Nothing. Debbie? Kim?
Yes.
No?
No, I do.
Not yet?
Yeah, I want to know.
Oh,
I do.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I want to thank.
You might just have to speak up a little
sorry.
bit. No, just up a little bit because people are.
Okay. I wanted to thank Parks and Rec for the fiesta. They did an awesome job. I know it takes a lot of work to put that on, so thank you. I also wanted to thank Liz for her efforts in putting the Clean Up Sahuarita Day. That turned out really nice. I believe there were about 100 people that showed up
Volunteers.
for that, so that was really good, and she had us all over the town, so that was really great. I also wanted to comment on Washington DC. Councilmember Morales, myself, the mayor, and our Luke and Shane were able to go to DC and meet with our representatives. It was a great opportunity to meet with them one-on-one, so I really appreciate that opportunity. I've been continually having coffee with council. We had it a couple weeks ago with Councilmember Perola and I, and we had about 35 people, so it keeps growing, so it makes me feel really good. So anyways,
Thanks.
just wanted to say thank. Oh, and I do want to also thank the chamber for the annual meeting and recognizing our band.
Yep.
I really wish them the best, and I know it's going to be a great opportunity for them. And they were awesome because I got to hear a little bit from them, so.
You took
thank
all
you.
of my talking
Oh,
points.
sorry.
No, that's okay. That's why I go last. I'll touch on that, actually, on that. Dr. Gillespie? No. Vice Mayor?
I have two things. One, day late, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, grandmothers, and those that want to be mothers.
Another one gone from me, so okay.
I took another one from you, and then I'm going to take another one from you. Are you
Okay,
ready?
yeah.
And congrats to all of the students, the high school students that'll be graduating next week. It's been nice to have such amazing youth in our community, and they are being taught by amazing teachers and raised by amazing parents. So congratulations to all of them.
Absolutely. Again, Fiesta, great. I'd also attend the annual Sahuarita Green Valley Chamber dinner, and I did appreciate Randy having the marching band there. The update is all of the students, they reached $189,000, so all the students have been covered, can go. Now it's the extra incidentals, how many meals, extra side maybe trips and things. They have to get the the instruments there, so I think there's a couple of parents, one with a CDL license that will be driving. So it's those kinds of reimbursements. They're trying to get to the 200,000, 189. Well, that was just a few days ago, so they might even be over that. And thanks to everybody, especially on the tax credits. I did both of mine last year and this year. Now that I have no kids in school, that was a good place for it to go. And, yeah, again, thanks to Liz. I heard there was over 100 volunteers. I was out of state at a funeral, but it was great to see the pictures. And then also congratulations to Sergeant Amanda Siebold. She was the honoree at the Sons of the American Revolution annual awards dinner, where they pick every municipality, U of A, all of the entities that have police, pick one person, Border Patrol, Customs. It was just amazing, all the attributes, and Amanda was ours. So I was, happy to be there on behalf of the town. Also, thanks for a good budget retreat, Shane and staff. I know a lot of work goes into that, and a lot of effort. I know we're going to touch on one of the items at the end for our capital improvement projects. But I've always appreciated, under your leadership, that we've expanded the amount of study and input that comes from our council, so I really appreciate that. And again, thanks, congrats to the students. I do get to go to their awards ceremony each year. Yes, and then for the first time, the Digital Pathways Academy is having their own graduation ceremony instead of being combined with Walden and SHS. So it'll be a celebratory week next week. Last meeting, I forgot Mr. Dilly. I am not going to forget Mr. Dilly this meeting. If you have anything to report, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. First on my list is to recognize our very own Doris Mensa, is she here tonight? There she is. Mm-hmm. She'll be participating in an item further down on your agenda tonight. But I wanted to put a shout out for her. She's going to be completing her internship with us this week. So this is the Wednesday, Doris? Okay, so Wednesday. So if you haven't had a chance to see her and thank her for her efforts, make sure you do that if you have the opportunity to.
She hangs out in my office. I'll get my office back, maybe. Yeah. But if you want to go to thank her, it's in my office that you go to.
She is also, obviously, with the internship ending, she's also graduating with her Master's of Public Administration from the U of A. But on top of all of that, which is amazing in and of itself, she also just recently received, she was recently awarded the 2026 Rombach Outstanding Student Award from the School of Government and Public Policy.
That's an applause there.
So I wanted to do a shout out for her. We've been very blessed to have her in the town manager's office helping us with a number of different projects. Her contribution has lifted us and helped us in many different ways. So thank you, Doris. She is her next venture, career move, is with the. She got a full-time job with the city of Casa Grande in the town manager's office, a city manager's office. So we're excited for her, and she's going to be doing a Luke Smith of sorts, right?
Right.
Isn't that right, Luke? So very excited for her. Wanted to let you know that the new intersection there at Sahuarita Boulevard and El Toro will be energized this week. With that. So it'll be in flashing mode for 48 hours, and that's to get the traveling public used to stopping at that intersection, because that hasn't been the case for years and years, right? So,
Ever.
So they'll get used to stopping. It'll be flashing red, and then after 48-hour period, it'll go to regular signal cycling. So we're grateful that that's right around the corner for us. This is going to be a good week. Economic development will be traveling to Las Vegas next week for the ICSC. It's a big retail hub for anybody who's anybody in the retail industry. I know that our team will be meeting with I have it here. Simon CRE, I should have, anyway, just connecting and making sure things are still tracking well. Bourne Companies, Panera Bread, IHG Hotels. So it's a quick trip. They'll be there for one night, 2 days, and we'll make the most of it. So we're excited to have them represent Sahuarita and making sure that our name is on the radar for these industries that we'd like to have come into our community. The recent Sunset Market last Friday was a great success. Staff, although we're still working on the estimates in terms of attendance, are saying that it's the largest turnout in the event's history. So that's all great. And then, let's see here. I'll just read this one. On Friday, in partnership with the Santa Cruz Valley Historical Society and SUSD, we successfully opened our second historical marker highlighting Porter Wilson. You remember who Porter Wilson was?
Yeah, the inventor of the flag football.
Flag football. So that's great. The Historical Society is making its pitch to have Sahuarita recognized as the birthplace of flag football ahead of the 2028 Olympic Games in LA. So we'll see how that goes, but we're certainly encouraging them and supporting them any way that we can. Next, our weekly run club, the Javelina Joggers. They'll meet at the La Velita Community Center 6 p.m. on Monday for a 3-mile run around the neighborhood. So just put that on your radar. I'm not going to be there.
I'm not going to be there. If it has to do with running.
But I certainly admire those people who really get out there and like to run those distances. 3 miles doesn't seem like a lot, but to me it would be. So grateful for that. And then I wanted to let you know we've made appropriate kudos to our volunteer team, our community volunteers, and trying to help keep Sahuarita clean and beautiful. That was a great turnout. Our staff will be supporting that effort this Thursday with our own get out and clean our community type exercise. So in the morning, we'll be out and having a friendly competition between departments who can pick up the most trash, and so it'll be fun. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did forget, also Rancho Sarita had the 5K, 1K fundraiser for Banner Children's Hospital. Made me think of it when I walked 1K, so just to be clear on there. But just, event after event, I could hear the music playing from the Sunset Market. And I was on the radio a few days before that, promoting it with Park and Rec. So maybe that had something to do with it, I hope. And just as a reminder, our next meeting is not a Monday, but it's a Tuesday, May 26th, because of a Memorial Day. So just make a note of that. Tuesday, May 26th.
Yeah, don't come.
Don't come Monday. Well, you can if you want to, but you'll be lonely if you're here. And next is item number 8, Madam Clerk.
2026 legislative session updates.
Thank you. Luke Smith, who's been introduced already, our management analyst, will be presenting that item. Good evening, Luke. I don't think you're, mic's on.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy and Council. I believe we also have Karen Cruz on the line to add comments as we go through this. The current status of the 2026 second regular session started on January 12th. We are now at 120 days, so 20 days over the 100-day limit. 1,998 bills were introduced. 125 of those bills have made it to the governor. And once there, they have about a 50-50 chance of surviving. Measures signed, 64, and she's vetoed 61 of those measures. Currently, the House is adjourned until June 1st, and the Senate is adjourned until May 18th. And for this election cycle, all 90 legislative seats are up for re-election. Now, because I know the council loves movie references, I have here the Governor's Wonder Moratorium. There is a current moratorium on bills due to budget negotiations. And because of this moratorium, it's hard to know if bills have just been parked and not moving forward for this reason, or if they've just lost momentum and support altogether. So I have presented these bills to council before. I'll give a brief review and then pause for any questions if you have them. HCR 2016 is a striker, so it was formerly HCR 2052. It did not have support, did not make it through the House, but it introduces a 4-year tax and fee moratorium on increases. It hampers our ability to respond to inflationary pressures, and the irony is also, hampers our ability to respond to state fees as they continue to increase theirs. HB 2999 allows developers to form an IFD or an infrastructure finance district, essentially setting up developers as a separate taxing entity. It can get confusing. They can allow them to build infrastructure that may not match with our master plan, and there's other implications as well along with that. SB 1431 prohibits design standards, pretty much anything aesthetic, facades, paint, roof, design on single-family homes and ADUs, which could threaten, just the character of our communities. SCR 1004 and HCR 2004 prohibit photo enforcement systems unless voters is voter approved. HB 2265 prohibits certain court fees from being assessed in relation to appointing public defenders. And one of the concerns about this is the ambiguity. It's not clear if this affects just county-level courts or if it reaches municipal courts as well. So if passed, it could affect us either directly, prohibiting certain fees, or indirectly because the county might increase the fees they're charging us to cover what they can't charge. SB 1071, repeal of Arizona Rangers as a nonprofit entity. This bill hasn't moved since March 2025, but it's still out there. March 2025 predates the current moratorium, so we're hoping that just the support has died out for this bill. Those are the bills that we're currently watching right now, and I'll pause here if the council has any questions.
Yeah, just to clarify, the Vice Mayor had a question on the prohibiting the SB 1431, prohibiting design standards requirements. That's really on the town doing it. It doesn't prevent the developer or the CCNRs or HOAs to have development standards, does it?
No, as far as I understand, it's just the town.
Just the town
on certain single-family units and ADUs.
It's to lessen our influence
Right,
on
ours.
those standards.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our community development director is also concerned because it has some restrictions on shared amenities and HOA shared amenities, which could impact the creation of parks and other green spaces as well. Was that the only question?
Thank you. Any other questions? No.
All right. So because there is no current end in sight for this current session, I thought I'd take this moment here to just kind of celebrate or review some of the things that we have accomplished this year. During the 2026 Arizona legislative session, the town actively engaged in coordinated advocacy efforts to protect local authority and advance community interests. We opposed key legislation such as HB 2290 that would have taken our online sales tax and given it to the town or city with warehouses. We opposed SB 1241 that would have allowed developers to use private permitting. We opposed SB 1787, which confused the appeal process for exactions or fees that the town would assess, and would possibly open us up to frivolous litigation because it reduced the risk for developers to appeal that. And then we also opposed HB 4030 and HCR 2052, which is the 4-year tax moratorium, which has come back as HCR 2016. On that, the prevailing sentiment is it does not have the support to continue, but there are worries that towards the end of the session, it might get a final push just so representatives can show that they fought for lower taxes before re-election. We maintained direct engagement with state legislators. Councilmember Priolo, serving as the town's legislative ambassador, held multiple meetings with legislators to communicate the town's positions, and Mayor Murphy conducted targeted outreach on priority legislation. We leveraged coordinated advocacy partnerships. We collaborated with the Arizona League of Towns and Cities, contract lobbyist Karen Cruz, regional stakeholders, to name a few, Marana, Oro Valley, City of Tucson, Phoenix Zoo, and Pima County. And we ensured consistent messaging and representation of Sarita's interests throughout this legislative session. Then there was our delegation that visited Washington, D.C. this past April. Mayor Murphy, council members Deborah Morales, Kim Lisk, town manager Shane Dilley, and myself to present the town's federal funding requests. Of the 3 projects we submitted, 2 2 so far have been selected to move forward in the appropriations process and will hopefully make it into the final budget. These 2 projects are the Police Department Emergency Power Backup, which was selected by Representative Grijalva for $1 million, Representative Siscomani for $2 million, and Senator Gallego for also $2 million. The unique situation here is because they're all requesting from different buckets, it is conceivable that we could receive all of those requests. And I gotta say, conceivable. Yeah. Sarita Wastewater Facilities was also selected by Senator Gallego for $3.6 million, and it is likely that Senator Kelly will also select this project to move forward. While in D.C., our town delegation also met with the Army Corps of Engineers regarding the remediation of land east of the town. In this meeting, Sahuarita was recognized as a model for effective municipal engagement at the federal level. Overall, our efforts this year have strengthened Sarita's presence at the state capitol and reinforced the town's commitment to proactive, strategic legislative advocacy on behalf of its residents. And lastly, I'll say we are very fond of Doris, because I also stuck a little, congratulations in there for the Rombach Student of the Year Award. And lastly, I'll go to my last slide here and ask if Karen, are you online? Can we hear her?
Karen, can you hear us? Are you online? Maybe not.
Well, I'll do my best.
Okay.
I know she was texting me, she was listening, but we'll see. So right now, the Arizona Department of Administration is likely, or, talking about 35% cuts to state 911 reimbursements, which I believe the town of Sahuarita contracts with Pima County Sheriff for these services. This could affect the fees that we are charged, if this is likely to stick, and that is part of the budget talks. Budget talks, again, we have the bill moratorium that's been in place since 4/13. And the governor essentially said she will veto any bills sent until negotiations are made in good faith in regards to the budget. She vetoed the first budget and cited that it didn't do enough for affordability. There were tax cuts for the wealthy, tax cuts cuts to public safety and education is the reason she vetoed that first bill. And lastly, the utility wildfire mitigation plans. This is something where the utilities are submitting plans to limit their liability if a fire is started by one of their, part of their infrastructure. The town of Sarita and the Santa Rita Fire District both submitted our comments that we did not agree with these plans, and they did not do enough to protect our residents. We've received confirmation that our comments were received and being considered from the Department of Forestry Management. And that is all I have.
Thank you.
I'll leave
I know
questions.
Councilmember Lisk was the one that presented on the wastewater. Does that mean we have to give her a pay raise for that on there? No, it was a good trip, so thanks for everybody's advocacy on that. Any questions for Luke? We don't have any for Karen because I don't think she's on.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If you tally it up on our efforts to go to Washington DC over the last several years, if we hit
Even
a
half
home
of-
run
right.
this year,
Millions.
that's, in 4 years, that's, I think if my math serves me right, that's close to $10 million
Right.
that we've brought in, so.
Yep.
That's not bad.
Not bad a return on investment, I would say.
I'm still hoping our third one will get selected too. But
There you
we'll
go.
see.
Then Debbie gets a pay raise. I'm joking, by the way, for the public record. That's right. Next is item number 9, the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 10, Madam Clerk.
Item 10 is possible action regarding the Roadhouse Cinemas liquor license application.
Thank you. Mr. Felix, good
Hello.
evening.
How are you guys?
Good.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. The item before you is a public hearing and consideration of a recommendation to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control regarding an application for a new Series 12 restaurant liquor license for Roadhouse Cinemas, located at 70 West Duval Mine Road within the incorporated limits of the town. The applicant, Kevin Kramer, on behalf of Roadhouse Green Valley LLC, is requesting approval of a new license. As you guys are well aware, Roadhouse Cinemas is a well-publicized project, and the town is super excited to see this new business coming forward. This application represents an important first step towards the business opening stores in Sahuarita and becoming a part of the community. A Series 12 restaurant liquor license intended for a bona fide restaurant when the primary business is the sale of food and the sale of spirituous liquor is incidental to food service. This license allows the sale of beer, wine, and distilled spirits for consumption on the licensed premises. In addition, the licensee must derive at least 40% of its gross revenue from food sales. As part of the town's review process, the application was routed to the Police Department, Public Works, and Community Development. No objections were received from any of these departments. In addition, the town clerk's office had not received any written protests from the public. The required application fee has been paid and all submission requirements have been met. I don't believe if Mr. Kramer is here today. I would have, we did extend an invitation to Mr. Kramer. Unfortunately, he's not here today. Based on this review, staff recommends that the town council forward a recommendation of approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Have any questions for Mark? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2026-19.
No, that's the, it's the one underneath that.
Oh.
I went out of turn.
You got it?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to submit the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control recommendation of approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for stepping over.
Yeah. Yeah, I went out, 10 has an A and a B, and we went to B, so we'll go back to A. Madam Clerk, 10A.
This is an ordinance with presentation, discussion, and possible adoption of a town code amendment to Title V. Mayor, if I may?
You may, continue.
The ordinance before you this evening proposes an amendment to Chapter 5 of the Sahuarita Town Code related to business license renewals. Specifically, the ordinance changes the annual due date for business licenses from July 1st to January 31st of each year. The ordinance also authorizes extending the current 2026 business license term so that licenses currently set to expire on July 1st, 2026 would instead expire on July 31st, 2027. This will create a single, consistent renewal cycle moving forward. This is the first step we're taking to re-implement business license fees. Moving this date will allow us to, instead of sending a business license renewal in June, to sending a letter informing the businesses of our intent to implement business license fees. If adopted, the ordinance would become effective 30 days after passage. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Do you have any questions for Lisa? If not, Councilmember Lytle might want to take another stab at this one. Oh, Debbie, do you have a question?
I think you,
Microphone?
the
Oh, is it on? No.
the date that you announced was July 31st, 2027. Is that going to be January 31st,
It would be
2027?
July 1st, pardon me, July 1st is the current date. It will be moved to January 31st of each
Okay.
year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. Councilmember Lytle.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2026-198.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay. So that's 4-2. Next is, we did 10B. Next is, Madam Clerk, 10C.
Discussion, presentation, and possible action regarding the Tucson Electric Power Santa Rita Connection Project.
Thank you. And Doris, hello.
Yes. Hi. Good
Is this
evening.
your last official presentation?
My last official presentation. And
Okay.
it's a pleasure to do that one last time, so
Mhm.
thank you all for everything.
Well, just remember, when you go to Casa Grande, everything you learned came from us.
Exactly.
Okay. Nothing from the U of A, none of that, none of those professors.
Yeah,
no.
I'll do well to remember that. All right, so tonight's presentation is on the proposed TEP Santa Rita Connection Project. And we are just going to give an overview of the project, walk you through the proposed routes, and let you know all the details, the benefits, and the impact of this project. So we are also seeking your direction on this project. We want to know if you'd like to make a comment, if you wish to support or oppose this project, or if you have a preference for either route that will be proposed in tonight's discussion. And also, if you do wish to take a position, staff has some options that you can choose from to make a motion after tonight's presentation. So right now, I'll hand over to Chris from TEP to walk us through tonight's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna, you didn't need to say or want to say anything to go ahead. Okay, good, thanks. Hi, Teresa. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Mhm,
Thank
good.
you. Good evening, Mayor Murphy, members of the council, Mr. Dilly, and members of the community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Teresa or Teresa Bravo, and I'm the Government Relations Representative for Local Affairs and Tribal Liaison for Tucson Electric Power. Today, my colleague Chris Ortiz-Pino is here today to provide you with an update regarding the TEP Santa Rita Connection Project. As you may remember, we were here earlier this year to provide an overview, and tonight we're here to provide you with an update. And please feel free to ask any questions. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
evening, Chris. Welcome.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Mayor Murphy, Vice Mayor Egbert, members of the council. My name is Chris Ortiz-Pino. I'm a project manager for TEP. I am a project manager in siting, outreach, and engagement, and this is my project. Let's see. Forward. Okay. So this graphic is a simplification of our transmission system in the south of Tucson. The thick black line crossing the screen from left to right is our 345 kilovolt transmission line. This is the spine of our regional electric grid. The thinner black lines represent the 138 kilovolt transmission lines that serve the areas south of Tucson and Santa Cruz County. Yikes. Well, we get the important part there. The yellow highlighted transmission lines are what I would like to call the South Loop. The loop is an interconnected and redundant system serving Sahuarita, Green Valley, and other large load customers. That was a beautiful animation, by the way. This yellow line is a radial 138 kilovolt transmission line serving Santa Cruz County. This line is part of a larger three-phase Santa Cruz reliability project. The purpose of this project was to provide the Santa Cruz County with a redundant looped transmission system. This one came in. Still no animations. You may recall from last year the siting process for phase 1 of the Santa Cruz reliability project. This project connected our Canoa Ranch substation, the top blue line in the yellow, and our Cantor substation in Santa Cruz County. This line is currently has been approved by the Arizona Corporation Commission. It is in the design and right-of-way acquisition phase. It is planned to be in service and constructed by May of 2028. So, what that does is it creates, with the connection of the Santa Cruz Reliability Project Phase 1, it connects 3 pathways for power to reach the Cantor substation. As a result of NERC mandated studies, and for your all reference, the NERC is the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. And every year they mandate studies for TEP and transmission planners to look at the system and ensure that it's reliable. A P6 planning event is a multiple contingency event consisting of a loss of one element, followed by system adjustments before the loss of a second element. That is an official definition, so I just wanted to put that out there. Hard to understand. But for the purposes of this presentation, I would like to go into a hypothetical scenario where I describe what that means. In this situation, we have one path of our 3-legged transmission system is removed for service for needed maintenance. In this situation, there are system adjustments, and the remaining 2 transmission pathways are serving all of the load that was previously served by 3. Continuing in this hypothetical scenario, we have a second outage. This was an unplanned outage. We'll call it a fault. In this situation, with the loss of a second transmission line, all of the load that was previously served by the 3 lines is now being routed through just 1. It is at this point in the transmission system that our remaining pathway begins to see an overload. And at this point, wow, this really didn't come through. That was a little caution sign. So our transmission planners identified that this remaining circuit, when 2 others are lost, reaches 90% of its load carrying capacity. In 2029, this circuit will reach 96% of its load carrying capacity. And so TEP's proposed project to fix this is our Santa Rita Connection project, which provides the redundant support to the transmission system, mitigating a circuit overload by providing a 4th path to reroute power in the event that 2 elements of the system experience an outage. So that's the project need and the purpose for what we're trying to do here. And so I would like to take a minute here to discuss the Santa Rita substation itself, because the location of the transmission line that we are seeking approval of doesn't necessarily impact the ability of the substation to serve the load in the community. So a substation, for your all information, simply transforms transmission power to distribution power.
Chris, isn't that, I mean, probably a lot of us are familiar with a regular transformer on a line. This is that on steroids, right, basically?
That's correct. So the cylinders that we would often see on our transmission lines, distribution lines throughout our towns and cities, they typically take 13,000 volts and bring it down to 240, 110 that would go into our homes. This substation is taking 138,000 volts, bringing it down to the 13,000 volts. So it's like you said, it's on steroids.
Right.
The Santa Rita substation is what will provide the community with redundant distribution support to serve future load, future residential developments, future commercial enterprise. This is what really is going to be the lifeblood of the community. The Santa Rita Connection project will provide a second transmission source to this transmission line, to the substation. Currently, there's 1 line being served. This one will bring a second. So what that means is there'll be redundant support to that substation. It'll be a highly interconnected, well-supported substation.
Right, but are you retiring, I was remembering the 46 kV, and we're going to be upgrading to 138. So you're adding redundancy, but also additional capacity, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Murphy. Yes, so with the addition of this substation, we're going to have 2 transmission lines coming in, adding a whole lot more capacity and redundancy. That's going to allow the company to remove 2 substations, 2 46 kilovolt substations. We have one, the Hart substation, and a mobile substation on La Villita.
Right, the temporary
The
one.
temporary one that's been there for several years. So this substation will allow us to remove both of those and free up that space and in the community.
Thanks.
So with that all said, if you have any more questions about the substation or whether or not the particular location of a transmission line has an impact on the power of the substation to power the community, happy to answer those questions.
Is this where you would like maybe input on the green line and the purple line, or is that coming up?
Let me come back to that.
Okay.
I'll discuss how we got there first.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make that part clear.
Anybody have any, I'm sorry, Chris.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions on substations? No.
All right.
Good.
So I believe it was January that I was here last.
Oh, it's just a party. I can't remember.
It's so much fun. How can you remember? Well, we were just in the middle of our suitability analysis then. We were refining preliminary segments. After that, we went into our phase 4, our compatibility analysis. At that point, we refined the routes refined our segments into routes. On March 4th of this year, we had a public open house at the Desert Diamond Casino here in Sahuarita, where we presented these 4 routes that we see on the screen here. We informed them, we answered their questions, and we were seeking their input on what they thought would be the best route in their community.
About how many people did you have there?
We had about 56.
Okay, not bad.
I believe 45 signed in and a few
Okay.
others who refused.
An exciting subject like power lines, that's pretty good. Mhm.
You know, it was a good turnout. We were excited by it.
Good.
We do have a pretty robust notification process. We have signs in the community. We have newspaper advertisements, social media. We do really try to get the word out there.
Right.
So as a result of that public open house, what we heard from the community is that there was a preference, an obvious and abundant preference towards Route 1, the Green Line. It has the lowest cost, it has the highest overall environmental compatibility, and it had strong public support. Route 3 was primarily located on existing facilities. It was the shortest distance, and there was no opposition to it.
Could you just touch on quickly, because when I was reviewing it, the shorter route is the more expensive route.
Yeah.
And what I saw was that that one required more private land. So I don't know if it was because of leasing. Could you just touch on why the shorter route is the more expensive route, just from my
Sure.
curiosity?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where, this is practice for the big show when I go to the committee on the 26th. So Route 1 comes from the Sonoran substation, and it heads to Wilmot Road.
Right.
That section from the Sonoran substation, the Blue Diamond, all the way to Wilmot,
Yep.
is 2 miles of new build.
Okay.
That does not currently exist. From Wilmot Road all the way into the Santa Rita substation is all going to be co-located on existing or approved lines.
Okay.
So this is transmission lines that we don't actually have to pay for to put new structures in the ground.
Yep.
These structures will have the ability to hold 2 circuits, with 1 circuit already being occupied. We're just taking the other side. And so when we say it's longer but cheaper,
Right.
it's because there's a whole lot less hardware,
Okay.
building, time, construction, materials to do that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And with respect to Route 3, there's also a significant amount of co-locating on that. As we leave the substation going west, and all the way down to where there's a little jut out in the middle,
Yep.
that is also going to be co-located
Yep.
on existing lines. That is the Country Club Road alignment, and from north to south, it is all one large utility corridor. It exists today. When we come, this doesn't have a laser pointer, does it?
I think it does, doesn't it? Does it show up on the screen,
Maybe.
Beth?
It has a
Obviously.
laser pointer. Unfortunately, it will not show up on the screen because it will refract the light.
Okay.
If you want to just visually
I'll do
talk
my
us
best
through
to,
it.
to describe it.
Yep.
This line does it a little bit better. Wow. So where the jut out comes back west and then south again, that is an existing transmission line, and it exists today, and it doesn't need to be rebuilt.
Okay.
If we were to select this route, we would rebuild it to be capable of supporting a second structure. So it exists today, and it only holds 1 circuit. On the other side, contrary to the other side, which those structures will be able to hold a second circuit, no problem, just add on more conductor. From that point south, we will have to remove and build back in place new structures that can support 2 lines.
Okay.
So that is why it's shorter but more expensive.
Does it have anything to do with the 39% on private? How do you, as opposed to the 13% on the other one? How do you negotiate with private landowners? Is it a lease?
So because this line, well, the lines on both routes for that example, for this point, speaking to Route 3, because these lines exist today, those rights-of-way are already obtained.
Oh, okay.
And so on private land, we have a perpetual right-of-way.
Okay.
The remaining state trust lands, those would have to go through the Arizona State Land Department to review the rights-of-way and to determine whether or not a second line would be appropriate.
Yeah, so really it's about the hardware that already exists for the most part.
Yes.
Where Route 1 requires a little bit more new hardware as opposed to Route 3, right?
Correct. Route 1 would require conductor and insulators. Route 3 would require conductor, insulators, and new poles.
Okay.
More of them. And so jurisdictions, we pass through all three: City of Tucson, Pima County, and the town of Sahuarita. The town of Sahuarita's town limits are on the very extreme southwest of our study area. However, I was looking at this map here on the wall here. It does go through a substantial amount of your future conceptual planning area for the annexation, future annexation. So
Right.
it definitely pertains to the town in that sense.
Mr. Mayor?
I might have it. Oh, Shane?
Just one
Yes.
question along the pricing. So the cost delta between these two is $1.5 million. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so is that the total cost for each of those routes? One is 16.5 million, total cost, everything down turnkey, and the other one's 18 million?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct. These are estimates. There's 30% contingencies, inflations, and but yes,
Okay,
that's our estimate.
Thank you for the clarification.
Would I be in error, because when I was looking at these, I kind of looked at, I'm just going to call them purple and green.
Yeah.
Route 3 purple. I kind of digest that as sort of today's growth for us. That's the kind of the one I prefer. But, first of all, I'm grateful that you're even doing this, right? It's a big investment. We're going to retire some, 46 kV, go to 138. So I'm just in the appreciation mode. But just from my way of thinking, the pink line is closer to where development is going to be happening sooner for us, because you said on the map, we're going to be moving from west to east, as opposed to, for me, to the green line. But I don't have a great understanding of, if, let's say the green line is the one that you pick, and we're annexing from the west to the east, does it make it like the regional wastewater plant, which is going to go in by Walden Grove, or the Safari Conservation Park we're looking at? For the users, does it matter a lot if you're stretching closer to the Route 3, the purple line, which I say is more today's growth as opposed to future growth? Just give me a little sense on one over the other, because when I look at it and where our town is, my natural inclination is to go closer, because you can tap off of it a little bit easier, but I don't know how to.
Sure. So, Mayor Murphy, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I believe what the benefit to the town comes from the substation.
Okay.
That's where you tap in at a distribution voltage. So the growth for the Safari, the
regional wastewater plant.
regional
with the
wastewater
county.
plants, and even the new residential development just to the south of there, those will all be served from our distribution power sources.
Okay.
So where the transmission line comes in, where it's located, doesn't actually play a role at all in the capacity and the growth of the community.
Okay.
That comes from the substation.
Okay.
So, like I mentioned in the very first slide, the 345 kilovolt transmission line, that's the spine of a regional electric grid, that comes from northeastern New Mexico, or northwestern New Mexico. Travels at the speed of light. It doesn't necessarily matter where those electrons come in from, it's a matter where they are transformed into distribution voltages.
Yep.
And so when we look at Route 3 being closer to the town, being closer to the future growth, doesn't necessarily have a role at all in the ability to tap from there. That comes from the substation.
Thanks. Well, that's good education, because, I started with gratitude that you're even doing it, right? So I'm like, does it really matter? You're the experts, and now I'm actually even more in that space, from learning more about the substation. That's more important necessarily where the lines are.
Yeah.
That's just my thought. But this is a time to weigh in, because we have 3 motions we can do. I would call the first motion the gratitude motion, we're happy, but we don't really are taking a position. And then the other 2 were whether you decide on Route 1 or Route 3.
Sure. I do want to make one minor correction to the staff report on there that gave the dates of May 15th. If this town wanted to intervene in the proceedings and have an attorney there and intervene, that would be the legally, that deadline for that. To submit a resolution to the docket, you can do that up until, the Friday before Memorial Day. So there's no deadline necessarily on providing to the docket.
Okay. John, do you want to weigh in on, seeing these things before? So, we have three choices to make, from our town's perspective or your history's perspective, important, not important?
Well, Mayor and Council, I look at both of the routes, and it's 1.5% or less of the route is actually in town.
Right.
And just as a practical matter, you probably need to decide tonight if you're going to send a letter or agree to a particular route, because we don't have a meeting between now and the Friday before Memorial Day.
Right.
So I'm not sure this is one that warrants the town actually intervening in the case.
Mm-hmm.
I think particularly if you, if the council, favored one route, especially if the council favored Route 1, which is TEP's preferred route, I believe, and you wanted to support that, then there really would be very little need to intervene.
Okay. Shane, did you want to weigh in after the conversation tonight? And I was more thinking of the transmission lines were probably more important than the substations, and now learning that, I'm again, back to gratitude, that you're even doing it. It's going to give us, one, redundancy, and two, 3 times the amount of capacity of 46 to a 138, right? About 3 times of.
There's going to be a significant increase. In capacity.
Right, on there.
Is there any other advantage to having those transmission lines closer to town as opposed to out far? If the 100% of the benefit is the substation, is there any other benefit? Because if there's no other benefit, contrary to what I was thinking too, even in my email response to Teresa, if there's no other benefit outside of the locations of the substations from a community standpoint, why would we have those big, heavy transmission lines running through the middle of town? So, can you weigh in on that a little bit? Are there any other? Thinking not just now, but 5-10 years from now, is there any other advantage to having Route 3 as the outcome that we move forward with, from a community standpoint?
Sure. Town Manager Dilly. Honestly, in most public open houses that we have when we're talking to the community, they want to live as far away from these as they can, which is understandable. The benefit of this project, the beauty of this project, is that they are both environmentally compatible routes. They both limit new disturbances. Route 1 is the cheaper of the two. So from a ratepayer's perspective, that seems
saves a little, right?
The more reasonable path.
And it was the preferred one based on the public meeting that you had as well, because I saw one was supported and one,
there was no opposition.
No opposition, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of a slick way. But the other one had public support.
Correct.
Right, and to John's point, our attorney, 1.4%, 1.5% jurisdiction, we have very little, in the game of sort of where it is, but.
And again, that's as it stands today. And that would be, so we're proposing 500-foot corridors for these transmission lines. The corridor goes through the town of Sahuarita. We have flexibility within that 500 feet. That's how close we are to the town and the Pima County line.
Right.
To be in Pima County or to be in Sahuarita.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, and to that point also, the substation itself is in Pima County.
Okay.
And so an opportunity for the town would be to weigh in on that entitlements process with the county as it benefits the town.
Talking about a 500-foot corridor, would you say the green one, Route 1, has less disturbance, less there already on that 500-foot corridor than Route 3 would be?
So again, it'll be co-located with existing.
Oh, that's true.
And existing and approved lines.
Okay.
So with respect to that, there's 2 miles on the north end of the study area where it's that diagonal from the substation to Wilmot. That will be new build. On Route 3, the purple line, that little jut out is about a mile, and that has to be new build there.
Okay.
So they're pretty close. Otherwise, they are taking advantage of existing infrastructure.
Okay. Well, I've done all the talking. Any thoughts on preferences from anybody? It's kind of our time to weigh in or not, you know. Kind of agree with the cheaper one, the one that had more public support. That's Route 1, the green line. Oh, Ed, yes.
Okay, my question is, yes, the green line seems to have had more public support, but the purple line, you go back to the old adage, the shortest distance between 2 points, and you have less bends in it.
But it's more expensive.
I just think of the future with the less that a line has to turn, the fewer turns, the less problems it's likely to have. You know, like supposedly, theoretically, and that's why I'm looking more at Route 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, that has 3 has the more turns though than the green one, right?
Well, see, you got the green one heading south, and then it cuts up and goes north again, and the more wire you have.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the little jut on the pink line.
Yeah, you see those up there, but see, like, the green, you're going to have more resistance for it, because, and that's what I'm looking at.
Right.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So these are all cost to construct. Have you guys analyzed the cost to maintain? Which route would be cheaper in the long run to maintain? Because that impacts ratepayers as well, your O&M every year. So which route would be cheaper to maintain?
To be 100% honest with you, sir, I don't know the answer to that. I can come back to you with that
there's some
answer,
common
but
sense there. I mean, if it's shorter, it's probably going to be cheaper to maintain over, but I don't know.
What I can tell you, sir, is that TEP crews, they inspect the line annually. For new transmission lines, we typically don't have needed maintenance for at least 10 years. The impacts on the O&M costs, they'd be kind of delayed. But beyond that, I am not qualified to give you a proper answer on that one.
Have the county or the city, because it's in both of the lines, different percentages, have they already weighed in on their preferred? Have you done this with either one of them?
We've had reach outs to the elected officials in the various jurisdictions, and we have not had any
feedback?
Any feedback.
Okay, interesting.
We're just warmer and friendlier.
That we are, yeah, exactly. Okay, so Ed would kind of prefer Route 3. Kim, Debbie, Vice Mayor, Dr. Gillespie, any thoughts?
I'm fine with Route 1, the green.
Me too.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I have no preference. I'm okay with what the council wants to do.
Right.
I actually like the power lines further away.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
that kind of
actually-
dawned on me when he just
Yeah.
actually mentioned that tonight.
So that's the reason why I like Route 1.
Route 1.
Better.
Okay. Route 1? Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, there is an opportunity to make a motion at this point.
I'll move to support the transmission line project with Route 1.
Okay, we have a motion. I'll second that. Any further discussion on there? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? With Route 1, the green line, say yay.
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 Aye.
Aye.
I don't listen very well.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-1. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
all so much. Appreciate your time.
But the overarching is we're appreciative and gratitude on there.
Thank you.
However that ends up, we're going to get more redundancy and more capacity, so I'm just happy about that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11A, Madam Clerk.
Study session regarding the 2027 budget, 10-year capital improvement plan.
Thank you. I see Beth sitting over there. Beth Abramovitz, our Assistant Town Manager, will be leading this discussion. And please proceed. Just as a reminder, we had a day-and-a-half retreat, not a 2-day retreat, and we had to end because we had to, basically get out of the building for a really good reason. And some had felt they wanted to have a little bit more conversation about that. Shane, did you want to tee off before we turn to Beth on anything?
Thanks. Even with Beth's awesome presentation tonight, to bring further clarity and, to the CIP plan and continuation of our discussion from the retreat, even after we leave tonight with this, if there's any council members that want to dive in a little bit deeper on the CIP plan and understand it, if you have any questions, we're here for you. We'll schedule a meeting up and just run through whatever questions you have.
And I think to be accurate, yes, we have a 5-year CIP, but every budget retreat, right, we look at it, a recession could happen, right? These are plans that are in place if everything goes well, but if the recession plan kicks in at various levels, this is all a working product, I would say.
Definitely a working document.
Working document.
It gets revisited every year, sometimes even mid-year.
Right.
If certain, curveballs hit us with these projects. But also what's complicating this is that to honor the town's fiscal policies, we're presenting a 10-year plan to you because we have reserves that need to be spent down.
Right.
So,
Thanks.
Beth, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's great to see you all again and getting to talk to you more about capital planning. So we'll start with something that you did see at the retreat, where we talked about the types of capital projects. And this year, we introduced a new category for you. We went from our 3 categories to 4. We realized as we were doing the capital planning this year that we didn't really have a category for specific projects that were under construction that carried over from one year to the next. We felt that they did meet that kind of recurring programs, maintenance of existing facilities and equipment, sort of, but like I said, we'd never really talked about it. So, but we didn't think that anybody would have any issues with continuing on in a construction project that we were either already under contract to do or was only halfway complete. But we did want to break it out as a separate item. So that is why you now have the four categories. We have updated this slide with some of the changes that we made since we last saw you. So if you noticed that some of the numbers were slightly different, that's why. So they have been updated because we did make some changes. So this is, and I know you can't, it's hard to read, and I
thank you
even
for that
actually, based on
acknowledgement.
our conversation about paper, did try to print this out on like 11 by 17s to see if it's, even on an 11 by 17, it wasn't readable, because I was going to actually give you guys paper. It's still not readable.
Is that
So-
on purpose? You don't want us to know?
Well, but in the next 2 slides, I'm going to break it down into small chunks of it.
Yeah, I was teasing.
So, but I did want to call your attention on the slides. There's some items that are now highlighted in light blue. Those are items that will be different from what you previously were given or have seen. And tonight, we are going to primarily focus on the CIP for fiscal 27. As Shane just alluded to, this is a living document. So really anything in fiscal 28 and beyond is kind of subject to change. As we get closer, as we see what our revenue projections are, as we see what the actual costs of projects are, make sure the need is still there, things along those lines, see if we have additional priorities. And we are going to be coming back to you, as promised, later in the year to have a more in-depth discussion about the rec center and the community pool. because that will actually play a big part if we decide that we want to be in the business of a rec center or a community pool, and where in that 10-year plan we would like that to happen. That could have a large impact on the CIP. As we had previously talked about in our retreat, you can see here already where we have, project impacts, where with the lavender boxes and with the red boxes, with the lavender boxes being where either a department head or where the project requester, the year that they had requested the project versus the year we actually have the funding available, or the boxes that are red, which were projects that were requested, which don't have funding in the 10-year timeline. So to try to make it a little bit more readable, I broke it down a little bit for you. So this first section includes just the recurring projects. And I want to caveat here that we were well underway, the CIP planning exercise, when we realized we kind of needed that ongoing project section. So not all of them actually appear in the ongoing projects. But the two highlighted ones are actually ongoing projects. So the two highlighted blue projects, which are now new for you. Projects in this section, they're all ranked using PBB. And as we discussed in the retreat, just because a project is a Tier 4 project doesn't necessarily mean it's not important or doesn't get funding. And as an example, Project 12 is the Police Department ACO CSO vehicle. And that position can't perform the required duties without a vehicle. So as such, even though it was only a Tier 4 project, we've included funding for it in this budget. It does include the two Animex projects, which are the new projects, which we had originally anticipated were going to be under construction and completed this fiscal year. We're moving the construction completely into next fiscal year to avoid the carryover. So those are new from what you saw last time. Did anybody have any questions on this first section?
Well, I know you have the county bond on there. Shane, I know it's a new, I think you're on the committee, right? Or you're going to be on the committee. Has there been any discussion of?
That's my last slide.
Oh, okay. Forget it. I'll wait.
It doesn't affect any of the projects in fiscal 27, which is why it's the last slide.
Okay.
So.
Any questions on this slide? Nope.
Okay. So this one, again, it's a little bit hard to read. So it includes the new projects and a few of the carryover projects. There are 13 projects in here that are actually proposed to have funding in fiscal 27. And the first project I'd like to draw your attention to is number 16, which is the Animex Pickleball Court, which you'll also notice is in blue because it wasn't on your previous handout.
Okay.
We had talked about this last fiscal year as part of the two Animex projects that were proposed, and you had asked for us to get quotes for it to bring it back along with the work for the other Animex projects. We did receive bids, and they came in at $225,000, which was less than we had anticipated. We have included it as being funded in fiscal 27, but we did want to circle back and make sure that that's how you wanted to move forward with the pickleball court at Animex as we're doing construction for those other two projects.
Well, I remember having the conversation about if you're going to deploy resources, right, economies of scale. There was, I thought, strong support of it back then, but. Debbie?
How many courts is that allocated for?
So, yeah, it's three.
Well, it is, but we have to be on the mic, so I apologize. And you're Park and Rec, so that's exercise.
Mayor and Council, good evening. So the first piece, and I just want to maybe expand a little bit on what Beth said. I believe the number we presented to you a year ago was that the pickleball courts were going to be in the neighborhood of 300 to 350. So 225 was a really comfortable number for us, and Beth and the team have put it forward as a recommendation, looking for the support. We're looking at 3 pickleball courts. It's going to be a similar layout to Quail Creek, but from lessons learned on our Quail Creek development, we're going to do some accessory seating within the courts. it's looking like it's going to be a really nice project when it's completed, and it looks also like it's going to play very nicely into the parking lot and maintenance yard expansion.
Yep. In the future, if there's funding, can that footprint be expanded, or just because of the layout, we're going to do 3 and then maybe have to do more somewhere else?
I'm not sure that we've landed on anything just yet. What we're finding is that 3 is a real comfortable number. We're going to probably look at that deployment at some other park sites in the future. It's part of an effort we're looking at. We presented to you all at retreat with some long-range planning for capital projects for Parks and Rec as part of kind of this year of planning for us. I hope I have some better information for you, but the site itself, we could probably put 1 or 2 more in, but just the way it fits in tandem with the softball field, we think 3 is a really good number to start out with.
Okay. You good with that? Any other questions? Don't go all the way back to the,
Yeah, we might have more
unless you want
questions.
steps, that's fine. But, thanks, Beth. Keep
Okay.
going.
So kind of is the general consensus that we should keep it in? Okay, great. So the other thing that we wanted to draw your attention to, and this will lead into that other slide that we alluded to already, is projects that have the gold box around them. They're shown as funded in the 10-year plan using grants or other dollars that we don't yet have. So they're projects that are, Richard, who I don't think he's still in the room, has been working with Luke diligently on obtaining funds. And actually, if you remember from the CIP presentation earlier, that this coming fiscal year, we've kind of reached a new high with 30% of our CIP funding coming from grants or other sources. So we've been doing a really great job in chasing some of those funds.
I can't read them. Is there something particular about those projects that would allow us more than others to go for grants and things? Is it just about the category? I just can't read what they are. Is there something particular about the gold box ones type of
They
projects?
typically are. They typically, check a box with either some of the CDS funding or 595 funding that we've reached out. We've been having discussions with our lobbyists and with other people to see what would be, good categories for these projects.
Thanks.
So, or they're projects that we've already, that are on the list that we take with us to DC. So we're still remaining hopeful that some of those will get picked up.
Okay.
So this is where I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Pima County bond. So, again, we've been diligently pursuing other funding sources. This year, we do have funding in our capital improvement plan from RTA Next, from PAG, from federal funding and local grants, so that would be PAG. So we do have the Pima County bond that's on the table. And right now, staff's recommendation is to include for consideration some of the projects that were proposed in the town's original bond.
Right.
And part of this is we still haven't gotten a clear picture from the county as to what items will be included in the bond. They originally said that it was going to be storm and Parks and Rec, but there's been rumblings that it may be expanded to other projects. And then we still don't have an exact dollar value as to what they're going to be seeking. So we don't know what our portion of that would be, but based on the range that they've given us, and if we just used either our assessed value or our population as like the percentage, that we'd be looking at somewhere between $10 and $12 million worth of projects that would be included. So it's not a get the entire rec center type of bond. We could put in the rec center, and we actually are suggesting putting in the rec center, but maybe for a portion of the rec center to match maybe the 10 million that we've indicated that we would put forward, that if we got 10 more million from the bond and 2 million or so for a different project, but without knowing all the categories that are going to be considered or the kind of entire breadth of the Pima County bond program, that what is actually going to be a good fit for that. So that's why we wanted to put forward at least the bond projects and some additional stormwater projects, and if there were any other projects that Mayor and Council wanted to be considered as part of that process, so that we could do our future planning. Again, living document, so it wouldn't affect anything for fiscal '27, but it would affect how we move forward. So did anybody have any questions or comments or additional?
Thoughts on that?
Projects?
I know the county bond is in the works. We don't know the exact percentage, but obviously they've gone for really high numbers and failed twice. So I'm expecting a scaled-back version, which also means our percentage is scaled back on what we would actually get out of
Yeah.
it.
They've told us about $250 to $300 million would be the entire bond package. So again, for us, that would be about 10 to 12 million if they used either our assessed value or our percentage of the population.
I think we should go for it.
Okay.
And whatever projects that you think should be in there, yes.
Try to get 'em.
Yes.
Any other comments?
If we're getting just 10 or 12 million and that's not enough to cover the big rec center, I don't think we should shoot for a big rec center, but projects like this instead.
Okay, great.
You know where I stand. All of you know where I stand. I just want a community pool.
And the tough part, I guess, on that is, I don't know, what's the cost of a community pool? I think I was hearing $17 million plus dollars, right?
Correct.
So,
And that's just a pool, not a rec center.
Correct.
That's just your outdoor,
yeah, outdoor.
plain Jane pool, yeah.
So we are going to bring back the discussion about the rec center community pool probably after you come back from the summer recess at some point. We don't have to have our complete list into the county until January. So even if we had originally submitted it as part of the discussion, if we decide after that meeting that this doesn't make sense in whatever form, either rec center or community pool, we could always pull it back out. But for now, we could still maybe have it in there for consideration and discussion purposes, at least with the county at the first meetings. But
Now, this
we
was
can always
wasn't
revise
this
that.
the picture for the proposed Santa Cruz with the handball?
Correct.
And all of
Yes.
that?
The only problem with that image is that those handball courts can only be used as handball courts. They need a back wall for racquetball so that they can be used for both racquetball and handball.
Right.
I just wanted to put that
So if we put it
out
forward to
there.
the county, we'll make sure that includes both.
If you're gonna put them in, put that
it
back
right.
wall in there, a little bit of an overhang so
Taking
you can do the, yeah, you know what I'm talking, yeah, okay, all right.
If you're gonna do it, make sure it can be used twice, by two different groups.
But part of, maybe after the summer, we learned what our percentage is, because this goes to Dr. Gillespie. You know, for us, is it a small rec center or something big, like, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, a dozen pickleball courts with handball and goggle ball and racquetball on there. So that's, I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm probably not going to vote on this. Well, I mean, by the time you guys decide, I probably won't even be here. But I'm very afraid to look at Debbie. So when I look at this, we live in Arizona where the weather is beautiful, that you can play outside almost 9 months out of the year.
Right.
And so this to me is such a great idea. And I would, if it were me looking at a recreation center pool, I would go with a pool and rec center, like go do it well, not do it just to fit it in. But that's just my opinion.
Because part of the conversation was, the earlier one isn't even with the pool if you only have $10 million. It's a small version of a rec center. And I'm thinking of a picture, you know, for our voters, if it was that over a small rec center, which one would motivate? Especially knowing how the weather, I totally agree with you. Or if we are going to do it, I would want to do it the right way, something.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I'd also like to offer that when we do bring back the rec center, one of the things that we would be talking to you about we would be actually bringing AC along for the ride as well. It wouldn't just be about, you know, park and rec and what it would take to build a rec center or the O&M, but how we could go about building it, whether it is, you know, do we do a bond? Do we do some sort of debt service? What are our options if we really want to move forward and decide that there's a certain planning horizon for that? What kind of options exist for us? So we would be discussing that as well.
Okay, thanks. Okay. I think everybody's good for now. Continue.
All right. So that's we had all
That was
our
a good picture
questions.
to end
So
on.
that's all our
I
questions.
guess
So if
so.
anybody thinks anything else, I'm always available. And I
So Beth, sum up the direction that you think you got tonight from the council relative to the, the county bond type question versus everything else, please.
That we are going to move forward with putting the previous Park and Rec bond projects on the list. We will have a future discussion about the rec center, so we can make that final determination after that meeting as to whether or not we would include the rec center.
That sum it up for you guys, okay? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Beth.
I heard.
Thank you.
Thanks. Having no more further business, we're adjourned. Thank you.